we're in Colorado today. This is kind of a big deal. There's a lot of chatter. There's a lot of risks associated with being an operator in Colorado because of the governance. Sort of the rules that we live under. Wanted to just talk about how possibly some of these new emerging techs can help not only get a better name for our industry, but have direct impacts on our local communities, on our local environments, and what we're kind of seeing out there, and if that's even something that people are considering.
A couple of months ago, I was at a consortium of dialogues where it was like renewable folks, oil and gas folks, tech folks, and community folks in Colorado talking about the energy industry and how the shift to renewables and where does the oil and gas industry fit. And that was really interesting because we're a technology company focused on oil and gas. And at some of those roundtables, those companies, other people were bringing up our type of company, Engage and Well Data Labs. They were bringing us up as a kind of a cross divide, someone that can cross the divide between the regular world and the oil and gas industry, right? Because we sort of speak both sides of the language really well.
Yep.
And I thought it was interesting that other people were bringing up like tech companies being the bridge between the community and oil and gas and helping oil and gas tell its story, through data. But also drilling in, how does digital transformation fit into that? Some of these companies have run hackathons. Right? A hackathon is a weekend where you bring people from the community together and you try to solve a digital problem. Mm-hmm. You have 48 hours to get together, form a team, form camaraderie, and solve a problem. Now, a lot of these folks are not from the industry, and these hackathons actually can build kind of empathy for the data, empathy for the problem, and start to slowly translate to the community how oil and gas really is trying to tackle these environmental problems and be aware of them and be very good actors in the world. So I just thought of that that's what came to my mind.
In general, it lends itself, the technology lends itself to those issues very well, okay? If you're the corporate board and ESG pressures suddenly have you paying a lot more attention to things than you may have done in the past, or as you encounter more civilization, more cultural, you're more sensitive to that. To measure is to modify, right? And so all these things we can do with our widgets and all these data points and sample points we can get in every context, okay? In your case, Rob, in terms of efficiency of transportation, reducing extra emissions, minimizing transportation, better water management, all that. Water's a big thing right now. So all these things that we're doing to touch and be aware and understand, it's all going in the right direction. It's almost a byproduct, but a very beneficial byproduct of us managing our businesses better. So to measure is to modify, and I think you start to have wins also just that way. And then I think one of the prior sessions you talked about worker safety and that kind of thing. And so a lot of the digital things involve positioning and site management and visualization and stuff like that lends itself to safety in that regard as well. So a lot of benefits that come from that.
I think some of the optimizations will come from real-time data, whether that's in logistics or just-in-time delivery, could start to decrease. One form of environmental impact is all the truck traffic in and out of the oil field here in northern Colorado, right? So if you could better time that traffic, or I don't know, some of these things are in neighborhoods, so if you can better time that traffic around when people are going to work or when they're at home. I think real-time data will play a role in that. That's not my domain, but it makes sense as how it could.
Yeah, definitely. It's our domain at Engage. We definitely want to look, and that's when you start getting into the truly leveraging those MI, that functionality into not only our tech, but sharing that tech, because we can route optimize, right? And we can have, what we've seen just as a quick impact here is getting trucks to actually work at night, to keep them off the road during the day, during rush hour, right?
Oh, great.
We're seeing, before, okay, you're sending here you dispatch for the next 24 hours. Well, as the asset owner, I'll just decide when I'm going to get that work done. But now we're saying, no, we want you to be there at 11:40 at night, because we've seen, based on our data, that is the most optimal time for you to go pick up that load, right? So you're definitely seeing that. What I would like to do, and I think we need to, as leaders in the industry, is start working though directly with the state governments or those regulatory bodies that Jim mentioned to start start showcasing what the technology is doing, because who is going to pay for that business case to get out there, right? I think we have to kind of work together, not only with the governments, but like I said, with some of these other bodies, to share what the industry is doing to try to mitigate some of these factors, some of this footprint that we do have. The average person doesn't know that we're only drilling a hole this big in the ground, right?
Right,
And that's that's a misnomer that is at the simplest level, but it exists, right? They think that we touch.
I think it's important for all of us in the industry, particularly us on the provider side, on the technology delivery side, to be real about it though. Just as you hear some companies out there saying that they're doing machine learning and really they're doing just a linear regression, which is not machine learning. I think it's you have to be careful to not oversell what you're doing environmentally or something like that, so that you don't mislead people and you're not false about the nature of what it is you're accomplishing. If you don't touch it, fine, okay, you're solving some other problem, and that's fine. It's material to the oil patch, but don't overrepresent or don't misrepresent the nature of what it is that we're doing, because there's certain there's plenty of what we're doing that does impact that in a positive way, and let's celebrate that.
I think as an industry, we're more likely to not underrepresent what we're doing. There's a lot of amazing work that has been done, like on the quiet frac fleets, on some of the walling that goes up, and and work to really focus on remove emissions, quiet everything down. And that was all done in the interest of kind of the environment and the locale around it. If you're in the middle of nowhere, you don't need any of that, right? That was all investment to R&D and improve the community around the well site. That's really
fascinating. Think about what drone technology is doing to shape the new oil field landscape as well, right? I mean, even the footprint of getting those boots off the ground, those trucks off the road, because we can fly at 65 miles an hour down the midstream asset, and we had to do that all in person, right? So even just from leak detection to all the new nanotechnology that's coming out with respect to that, these drones are able to go pick up that data literally, like we talked about, in real time, and get that back so that we can, in those, I guess, more disparate areas, not have to have that human interaction with our assets, right, and with our facilities. I think that's going to be just continue to grow. I've been with a number of operators that have. What they're having a hard time is finding the pilots, though. This is like their problem.
Well,
right?
but
they have the
that's
technology.
cool. I mean, like there's suddenly now all these different platforms delivering space imagery. Somebody told me there's like 640 different space data sets that are available out there of multiple dimensions, and all that, it's getting more toward real time or high recurrence. The resolution increases, and all these can provide environmental awareness as well. And we're just learning how to assimilate that. Okay, it's orders of magnitude more data than we've ever had before. Okay, and 2 years from now, 3 years from now, that'll be a steady state standard practice for us. It's great to see stuff like that.
Yeah, that's really interesting. There's a lot of I guess it's camera vision or machine vision, whatever you want to call it. There are a lot of innovations coming up in that area. And those companies they're gonna, like you mentioned earlier, they've got to go find pilots, and they're gonna have to figure out how to build business cases, and that's coming technology that's designed to kind of affect the environment, whether it's the physical noise or what have you.
Right. Well, I think thanks for joining us. We're looking forward to having more of these in the future. We're gonna be bringing in some new guests and some new topics, not maybe specifically for oil and gas, but maybe outside of our industry as well. So, Josh, Jim, thank you for joining us here. Appreciated the conversation. I think it's been fun.
Thanks for having us.